All right, welcome everybody to a new video. Today I thought about doing something a bit different. That is, I wanted to share with you a little analysis of a solo that I think is very, very interesting. It's a solo that I often use to teach how to go from like a pentatonic only playing to introducing some of the notes of the chords and on triads. And as you can see here on screen, I'm starting from Hotel California. I think Hotel California is a super cool example of how to actually use notes of the chords, triads, in addition to the pentatonic that we always use. And let's start by doing a little analysis. So this video is not super basic, but hopefully you guys can follow. And if not, feel free to ask me questions. I have a free school community as well, where you can come and ask me as many questions as you feel like. So what's the key of the song? First of all, that's kind of important for us to understand what's going on. So I would say that the song starts with B minor, and we can kind of analyze everything around these. A reminder, B minor, same as, I'm simplifying a lot, but like D major key. So in this case, if I see this as B minor is the one, the first, then I have a F sharp, that is the 5 off these. And then from this point on, we can either think about D or B minor. I would think probably D, because it's easier from here. So I'm thinking D major, so I have a 5 here. Then I have a chord that is very common, is the second, but is not minor like it should be in a major scale of D, but it's a major one, very common in this style and rock in general. Then I go to F4 here, the G, and then I go to the 1, and then here I go to the real second, the second minor, as you can see here it's major, here is minor, and then I go again to the 5 off the next chord, that is B minor. So the song is kind of moving very common actually between this like B minor feel and D major. And all these analysis, because then when we move to the solo, I want you guys to be able to follow through the course that I'm talking about. Alrighty, so let's move. Here's an old transcription. So some of the stuff probably not gonna make sense, some will. So let's see. So that phrase right there, kind of interesting start really of the song. Let's take a look. So this part here is essentially, I'm going with B minor pentatonic all the way until here. So this sound here is the first sound that we can see is not in the key, is not the pentatonic of B minor. But is actually the third of F. So in this situation here, I can see that I have a root of F sharp, actually very close. The 9th is F sharp on your fretboard. So if you see that, and then you can play, I look at that camera, I think it's easier. It's this note here. So pentatonic. Landing right here, and then pentatonic, and he's bending that note again into the third of F sharp. So there you go. First sound that is outside of the pentatonic, minor pentatonic, is actually the third of F, right, third here. Then here goes to it's kind of an interesting take, because he's using again this sound coming from here. This sound I think is bringing from this. I don't know what he was thinking, but seeing from outside, obviously, like post analysis, is a nice repetition of the sound was coming before. It also obviously like a note that makes sense for A. This is actually for A. I would call this a B flat, not an A sharp, but is a flat 9. So is a alteration, kind of a tension related to the 7 chord. And then here it goes back to normal, to actually the root. So it's going back to essentially pentatonic, I think. So it's pretty interesting. First phrase, start of the solo. Then if we move to the next. All right, so that phrase right there also very interesting, because this part here, you might argue again that it's very common phrase on B minor pentatonic as well, same position as before. But then this one here is very, very interesting because it's bending 8, that is not part of the minor pentatonic of B, and also is bending half into a 9 and a 9 here, so this note becomes a G sharp. And guess what G sharp is for E? Is the 3rd again. Right, so again, there you might be able to see you're landing on this note here, the 2nd string, fret 9, this position of E, the bar chord that you often play, that's the 3rd right there. And then and look what's happening here, also very interesting. You've got this phrase, this is pentatonic, 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 and here lands on a real 8, not a bent 1. And what is that? Is the actually root of G. So this note again is not in the pentatonic of B minor, but it's a very, I guess, important sound for this being G, is landing on the root of that. Very cool as well. And then goes to the next phrase. I don't know if it's exactly that. I transcribed this a long time ago, but should be. I don't know if you're just repeating this note or not, but you guys will know better if you listen to the original solo. Again, this part we can see D major, obviously, as we said at the beginning of the videos, equal B minor. I've got this bending, everything here is part of the pentatonic all the way until here. These are C sharps that are actually the 7th of D. And it makes sense because D being the 1, these notes make this chord like a D major 7th for a second. Very interesting. And it's something that doesn't mean they were thinking about like D major, but it's a note like that you can add to your pentatonic scale and it sounds good. It's just behind the minor 3rd. Regardless if you're playing on D or whatever, if you have this position on the pentatonic, like here you can it makes it a bit more towards major, I would say, major scale-ish. So if you're thinking B minor is behind the 3rd, if you're playing on a D major and you're using still this scale to improvise on it, that's a very cool sound to use. And then that phrase as well, kind of cool, because here is starting from notes of B minor pentatonic, but is bending again this sound, this F sharp towards, so this actually becomes a G. And guess what is G for E minor? Is the 3rd of G minor. So he's playing that game where this note is part of pentatonic, is lightly bending it into actually a note of E minor. So this is the first chorus of Hotel California, Analyzed. And as you can see, the notes that he's using are not super advanced. Like he's playing B minor pentatonic, then here he's touching on the 3rd of F sharp. Here is touching on the flat 9, but more than anything, he's bringing it from here, and then going to the next chord. Here he's bending into again the 3rd of E. That is a G sharp right there, and here is landing on the root G, And then here is using this nice sound, this nice addition, and here is bending into the minor third of E minor. So now the question is always like, what do I do with this, right? So in my opinion, like when you see something like this, I think there are a few things that you can do that might be useful. The first one is, if you know step 1 B minor pentatonic in that specific position, it might be cool to go and try to see the triads. Sorry for my bad writing, but the triads. Am I actually be able to see the third of F sharp in that specific spot? Am I able to see the third of E in this specific spot? Am I able to see G, and so on? And how are those connected to the pentatonic position that I know? So how can I memorize, oh, when I land on F sharp, this is the slight movement that I make. Oh, this is G compared to my pentatonic, and so on. That I would say is the very first step. And introducing these sounds little by little in an impro. So you can record yourself with a backing track, just the chords of Hotel California, slow. You just play minor pentatonic and you set up some goals. That's my suggestion. My suggestion could be this first chorus that I'm playing, for example, I want to land on the third of F sharp. That's my goal. If I do that, then I go back to my minor pentatonic of B. Then my second chorus, I also want to land on the third of E on the second string. Cool, let me do that. So don't overwhelm yourself thinking, oh, to get here and I need to do all the triads, all the positions and so on. Just implement one thing at a time and have fun with it and see what it brings. Because this solo, remember guys, is planned, right? It's a studio recorded solo, so it's improvised probably partially, but also is planned. So don't feel bad, oh, I can't do it on the spot like that. It takes time. You can plan it yourself. You can play pentatonic and let me land here, and so on. I hope this video was helpful and maybe can inspire, I don't know, some new creation of a solo or a melody. And if you want me to do the second part of the solo, I can do that as well. Just let me know and I'll do it as well. Bye.